I've got a couple of guests here in the room who might want to ask you a question as well. We've got Andrew Bolt in Melbourne. We've got Janine Perrott, who's sitting at the desk here, and Mark Latham, the former Labor leader. Mark, you've got a question for Mr Cutter.
Yeah, g'day, Bob. Congratulations on holding your seat. Can I ask, have you caught up with that massacre in Orlando, and how do you reckon it's looking?
I really don't have a great knowledge of what's going on in the world outside, Mark, and I get a little bit scared I get into trouble if I go beyond what I know about, and this is a case in question.
Well, can I just say that I hope gun control relaxation is not on your list, because the average Australian really would want you to shove that where the sun don't shine, my friend, because that's one of the most atrocious things that you've put forward for the safety of our community, and if it's on your list, I'd advise you very strongly to drop it right now.
I'll tell you what's in the safety of our community, Mark. When I was handed a rifle as a lad of 19 or 20, whatever it was, we were at war with Indonesia. We had 1.5 million firearms to defend this country, mate. When the likes of you get us into the next war, we'll have 35,000 rifles to defend the country. And I tell you what, they'll be thanking you in exactly the same way they thanked Joe Lyons before the Second World War.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
All right,
Do the gun laws need to be strengthened once again to ban this too, or are we safe enough as is? Joining us to discuss is the President of Gun Control Australia, Sam Lee, from the Blue Mountains in New South Wales. In studio, we have Senator David Leyonhjelm, New South Wales MP for the Shooters and Fishers Party, Robert Borsak, and former Labor leader Mark Latham. Good morning to you all. Great to have you with us.
Thank you so much. In the US, a person is 20 times more likely to be killed by a gun than here in Australia. So, Mark, I'll put this to you. Is that something we should be emulating? A lot of Australians are saying don't soften our gun control laws because we're going to end up like the US, where every week it's not even newsworthy anymore because they happen with such frequency.
Well, I think there are many fine aspects of American society, but if you ask the average Australian what's the very worst thing about the United States, they'd say the incidents of public shooting massacres. And Andrew was asking, how do we define a massacre? Well, David's quoting incidents there, tragic, that amount to murder-suicide within a family.
Domestic situation.
What's happened in Australia, if you define the massacre as happening in a public place, then up pre-1996 we had them in Australia, terribly, in shopping centres, at tourist attractions, most notably and tragically at Port Arthur. Since then, in the 20 years since, we haven't had a shooting massacre in a public place. Our schools have been safe, unlike the United States. Our shopping centres have been safe. Our tourist attractions have been safe, unlike America. I mean, this is a real benefit for public safety and well-being in Australia that we shouldn't possibly jeopardise by relaxing gun laws and going down the crazy path of the United States.
Rob Borsak, I mean, obviously we don't need to guess in some ways where you stand on this issue, given who you represent. The most recent research shows that 40% of Australians think that we've got our gun laws right. 45% think they should be even tougher. You know, doesn't that suggest that the public has no appetite for weakening gun laws?
No, I don't think that suggests that at all. I think and what we've come out with today is talking about we actually need a Royal Commission into what happened at Port Arthur. A lot of the debate that's going on is well-founded and the discussion is important, but in the end, what we really do need to see is proper closure after what happened at Port Arthur.
With respect, haven't we done
a lot of that already?
I mean, that seems like...
Robert, what happened at Port Arthur that we don't know about already?
I think there's a lot that happened at Port Arthur that we probably don't know about, and it's got nothing to do with conspiracy theories, as you're inferring. We simply do need, as a nation, to go through the processes and understand the facts, understand the motivation for what really were knee-jerk reaction laws at the time. Whether you believe, as I don't, that they were well-based is another issue.
Well, a lunatic got hold of a semi-automatic weapon and slaughtered innocent people.
Well, hang on a second. The semi-automatic weapons aren't there now, and what we're doing is we're debating...
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
And we're debating based on emotion, which is important, but we understand people who have been through that process, and we saw it the other day on the Insight program, that poor lady is still...
Howard has said
that's not
that,
true.
4 states are looking at watering down the waiting period, the cooling-off period between applying for and purchasing a gun.
You can't
so
believe...
I think, well, I can...
You can't believe what John Howard says.
I've been a John Howard, but I can believe him on that. Because he's done good for the country.
How would he know? How would he know?
Well, he says 4 states. Well, he's well connected inside the Liberal Party, obviously, and he says 4 states are looking at watering down the provisions.
David
so that would be a
you wanted
major
to
concern.
say something?
Well,
they get treated like that.
We get treated that way.
No one says that about farmers. Farmers have got a legitimate
Well, hang on,
need for guns.
but that's the way the gun laws are framed.
What about
that's the way the gun
a
laws are
single
framed?
bullet to kill a pig, a fox, a feral animal?
That's the way the gun laws are framed.
To acknowledge that there is a possibility.
1996 was framed on the basis of a rush of emotion and a political opportunist named John Howard.
Okay, but
The political opportunism here is people like Ricky Muir, who are running for re-election in the Senate, who's got out there and irresponsibly advertised this gun solely for the purpose to appeal to the shooters' vote in Victoria, where he's been a senator. That's as irresponsible and opportunistic a thing as you'll ever see in politics.
I take that as a valid comment, Mark. But the point is this: the real opportunism, the real free advertising for the Adler started last year when Senator Keenan decided to beef it all up and started going for the Adler.
Well, let's have no more Ricky Muir videos.
We have to start wrapping this pretty soon. I know you've just been trying to jump in with one last thing.